Hello and welcome, and it is Monday. Everybody say hello to our fans. Hello, fans.
Hello, fans.
What up?
How's everybody today?
Yeah, doing well. The normal Monday draft show. Brilliant.
So, yes. Well, we're here. It's hole 14. Hole 14 could be pretty obvious today. The polls on Facebook seem to be favoring very much Highlands Gate. So this could be an interesting, quick discussion. But on the sidelines, we've been trying to work out permutations. Fats has been very busy with other people trying to find out what they think about everything. So before we get started, I just want to say, before we relook everything, this will be the final show of one, right? Because then it gets very little. Then Wednesday, we'll do hole 15 and 16. And Friday, we'll conclude our awesome series with hole 17 and 18. And start with the strokes. Right. But we like to keep you entertained, so we throw in some news and we throw in some extra things. Okay. Before we start, Fats, I would like you to welcome our very special guest today.
Maz, we do have a very special guest today. He's one of our loyal followers, doesn't miss a show, always there to chat.
And here's his drum roll.
Hey?
Here's his drum roll.
Yeah. Have a drum roll for Mr.
Boom. Mr. Schoolman.
Schoolman. Welcome, Kobe.
Thank you for joining us today.
Hey, Quibs.
Hello, Oom.
We thought you comment so much on the side, you might as well comment live with us.
All good, yeah. I'll stop on the chatting on the phone, yeah.
Okay, so the first person to comment on the Facebook Live is, hi Quivers, hi guys. Okay, well done. Everybody else, thanks for watching. We've got Paul Ricketts with us. Well done, Paul. And we've got Hanu Yellow. We've got Martinez. Nice to see you back there, Martinez. And then Paul is, and Saturday we play golf. Let's put that up because this is an important notice. Okay, boys, before we start, we've got some Duckhook news. We've got 3 pieces of news. Let's get through the news. So, first up in the Duckhook news, as everybody has heard, Friday, there were announcements made that this week, Tuesday or Wednesday, there is potentially we could get announced that we go back to golf on the weekend. Some people jumped the gun. So if you're on Facebook and you follow a lot of clubs, you would have seen this notice 1,000 times. Basically saying that there were some clubs that started and had full fields, which should we name them? Name and shame?
No, we can leave that out.
Okay. So there were 2, everybody knows, but we're very correct here, that started early. It is a bit disappointing because imagine they break it for everybody as we anticipate to get going. Guys, Ryan, I'd like to ask you this question. What's your opinion on what's happening?
Well, first off, I understand that golf clubs are going to, when they do open, they're going to pretty much open to members only. Mm-hmm. And I think, as we just said now, a couple of the guys jumped the gun and they've opened to their members this past weekend, which I, for one, completely disagree with. There's a difference between sort of listening to what the regulations are and what you should be doing, and then actually just taking a chance and risking it for everyone, which I think is what they've done. So I'm sort of hoping that doesn't hamper the decision or the announcement that was going to be made this week. Hopefully, all Golf RSA's work doesn't just get wasted. As much as some people are commenting saying, they keep saying, they're making good inroads and good conversations and discussions with the ministers, but they're doing everything they possibly can, and I for one just hope this hasn't hurt what they've been doing for the last 3 months.
I hope so too, but I don't think there will be any repercussions. Dylan, from an inside source, have you heard anything?
Well, no, a lot of the same stuff. Obviously, if we do have anything, we can't just kind of go rogue and just release stuff to the public. But we are prepping. There's a lot of guidelines for courses that when we do open, that things are going to run a lot differently. There's a lot of stipulations in place from Golf RSA, from the PGA for coaching. There's a lot of stipulations in place for that, which we have to learn and sign off on. So it all looks positive. Let's just hope that a bit of gung-ho behavior hasn't sort of put us a few weeks back.
Cool. Just to remind you, as mentioned, our next show on Wednesday, we will, when we know what's going on, we will update you we'll update you to what the news is, when we start to play, because if it opens next week, we've got our Thursday league starting on the 18th, which is the following week. And then we've got our Sunday league the following Sunday after that at Bushwiller. And I don't see there being any interruptions, but it will be nice to be able to tell everybody exactly what's going on, how we are going to adjust the league, what little things we have to change, because we have missed a lot of games. So we need to see to a few things to get the league back on track. Right, story number 2, I just want to quickly, this is exciting. It starts on Thursday, so we're just going to touch on this quickly. The Charles Schwab Challenge, the featured groups were announced today. So, look at these. How can you have, I wonder how they choose this, because they've got the world number 1, 2, and 3 in the same 4-ball. So the top 3, McIlroy makes his first start in this competition, and has 2 wins in the PGA Tour career when making a debut. So I thought that was interesting. So I want to give you some info here, because on Wednesday we'll be going through this and we'll be trying to pick winners for everybody. In 3 starts at the Colonial Country Club, Rahm has earned 2 top 5 finishes, tied second in 2017, and then Koepka shot a pair of 63s in round 2 and 4 in 2018 to finish second. So these guys all like this tournament. Then we've got Ricky Fowler, Justin Thomas, and Jordan Spieth. Thomas enters the week as in second on the FedEx Cup, so he will be wanting to get going. And then the next one, Bryson DeChambeau, who's been in the gym. Dustin Johnson, he went into the lockdown in bad form, same as Justin Rose. Will be interesting how they go in their group. And then we've got Mickelson, Kevin Na, who has actually won this tournament. He won last year. And then Gary Woodland, who is the US Open champion. Boys, this is going to be interesting, but some great groups. Does anybody know how they pair them? Do they just pull them out of a hat?
I think, Maz, if I can quickly come in there, I think it's all just about viewership at this moment. Obviously, if you look at number 1, 2, and 3, they're going to pull the crowds as it is. And then, Ricky Fowler, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, from a young age perspective, the 3 of them are big buddies together. So I think it's just trying to, get the viewership going at first,
And just remember, the viewership will be on TV.
As they do in pro tournaments, they have brackets, A, B, and C. I imagine PGA Tour might have a D bracket as well. And it's a lot to... They base it mostly on official world golf rankings. So that basically, a Monday qualifier that sneaks in can't be drawn with Rory McIlroy. That's basically how they do it.
Okay.
Quibus is 100% right. They do that for viewership rights.
Yeah.
They are meant to draw from that bracket. So it'll be a morning first 9 start, and then an afternoon back 9 start for round 2. But it's sometimes the pairings are a little bit suspicious. We do wonder whether they're actually drawn properly. But yeah, so that's the baseline. They start in a bracket, A bracket being your top 20 players in the world, I think it is. Actually, it might be top 15. And then 16 to 40 is bracket B, and then 41 above bracket C. And then that's how they do the initial draw. And then they're meant to draw it from there. But as I say, you look at some of those pairings and you think, you're not too sure. The only difference is the majors, but the majors are not run by the PGA Tour. The majors are run by the USGA, and they always draw the past champions together and the 3 major winners of the year together as well.
And this is why I had Dylan on the show, because he knows this stuff. Well done, Dylan.
He knows stuff.
Okay, the last one quickly is that the European Tour players are not happy. Why? Because they start a month later and the world rankings restart now for the PGA Tour. So they think it's unfair, which it kind of is, but I guess they have to figure it out. So good luck to them. I think somehow they'll work it out. But there's the article on golf on the golf website. Okay. So that's it. I found those interesting.
As the world rankings run over a 2-year span, and they're very relative to the tournaments that you've played previously. Yeah. So once you've been around the world of golf for a couple of years, they're only going to lose points for tournaments they don't play. So it's. I mean, although some guys will get an advantage to maybe sort of get more points and increase their position, it's not a huge disadvantage to not play those tournaments.
Okay.
Absolutely. They can't lose the points. They just can't gain any points.
Yeah.
Correct. 100%. right. Yeah.
And I think that article said the European Tour players can miss 6 events in between the 2 openings of the PGA Tour and the European Tour. But anyway, we'll see how that goes. Let's recap what holes we have. Right, Dylan, you have not done this. You're up.
Oh no, I talk too much anyway. Okay, we started off with a lovely. I'm not going to do that slowly. Right. Okay, we're going Reading first hole, Glendower the par 5, the par 3 at Kyalami with water on the left, and then we've got the Woodhill with the big waste bunker stroke 1. Number 5 is Danefern. Thanks, Ryan, for that one. And then we've got Copperleaf, the little one across the water. 7th is the little majestic little par 3 at Irene. 8
with the power line.
With the power lines. 8, the fantastic risk reward Island Green par 5, Serengeti, cracking hole. And then the 9th at Blue Valley, long but doesn't play that long down the hill. 10th at Glen Vista, thank Fats for that one, over the water, chip and a putt there. And then we've got the par 4 11th at Royal, the best par 4 in the country, some might say. Then we've got Houghton stroke 1, the relayed 12th, fantastic hole. And then on Friday we picked Peakwood's beautiful water on the left and some bunkers and some palm trees, par 3.
Well done. Very good. Very good. Well done. Okay. Selections for today. There's not much left. Okay. Here we go. Let me quickly take you through this. We've got Highlands Gate, par 5, stroke 1, 518 meters. Everybody's favorite. Eagle Canyon, also a par 5. This is mini par 5s. The par 5 straight down. There's nothing too special about this par 5. Ibotse's got the par 4, 319 meters. Rand Park's also got a par 5. And then Jackal Creek's a par 4. Fats, you've been in contact with the guys. And now that we're at this stage, how is it looking? What do you think the common consensus is now that we've reached this point?
Yeah, Maz, it's actually quite interesting when we got to this point now. We've got 5 holes left, 5 courses to choose from. And there's a couple of holes you really want in those 5 holes, the finishing holes. Obviously, Highland Gate is right up there. It's the number 1. And then we need to push another par 3 in there and another par 5. So it's 2 par 5s in the last 5 holes, which does make for interesting choice. Yep. So we did ask a couple of guys to send their recommendations and feel of the last 5 holes. About 50% of the guys did still pick Highland Gate at 14. But it's interesting to see as well. I mean, the 15th at Highland Gate is a beautiful par 3. We don't have a hole like that on our list. With Firethorns par 5 at 14. And then good, strong finishing holes. The 16th at Eagle came up quite a lot. 17th at Ibotse, strong stroke 2 hole, I think, with the dam on the left. And then Jackal's 18th is also a popular finishing hole. But again, some Oaks also went for Highland Gate's 18th hole, which is, I think, one of the best finishing holes in the country.
Great hole.
I think also, especially for the Duckhook Golfers. Standing there, watching the guys come in, really special place to us that. But yeah, so there's mixed feelings, but generally I think we got a good sense of what we can expect for the next 5 holes.
Okay, Quillis, I've got what you sent at the beginning of the score. So you've actually done quite well, right, when going through it. Number 4, Blue Valley, no. Highlands Gate, you went for the 9th. I'll ask you to tell us why. I'm sure we know. And then the 12th at Ibotse and then Eagle Canyon. But compared to Richard Stewart, you got Daneford, Copperleaf, Irene, and Serengeti in there. What was your thinking behind the 9th at Highlands Gate?
Again, originally I was thinking either Firethorn the 9th, and then I had to choose between Highland Gate. And then I thought, okay, I prefer Firethorn the 17th, that par 3. Mm-hmm. So obviously then I needed to get the 9th hole. I just like the finishing hole. And I think it's just because the memories of being involved, doing the video of the playoff as well. It's just there's something little, I don't know how to explain it, but it's such a beautiful hole with the water on the left and looking over the water, looking then at the 10th fairway and stuff like that. It's just it's beautiful. So for me, Highland Gate was my original choice, but then obviously when that was taken out by Blue Valley, that started throwing me around in terms of the rest of my selection.
And unfortunately, your next 2 or 3 are going to be wrong because it's been chosen already, and so on and so on. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly the thing, because now suddenly I originally wanted for the 14th hole, I wanted Beaconwood, which is now already been taken with the 13th.
Yep.
So that's where all my numbers now starts falling away specifically. So it has been very interesting, and I can show you guys. I've got lists. Really analytical of me doing stuff that was necessary. So, but yeah, then I think, when we spoke to Fats earlier this afternoon regarding our selections, him and I were on par with how we saw things. But obviously, the difficulty comes in to put those nice holes that's almost choosing themselves, first put them in and see what's left over. And then that's suddenly where you say, but okay, now Highland Gate, the 16th is falling away, for instance, or 17th at Firethorn might fall away, and then you start playing again. And, it's like roulette. What do you keep on the table and what do you take off? So it's been fun.
Good. Well, I'm glad you've enjoyed it. At least somebody has. Okay. The next thing I want to ask. Okay, so I don't have a flyover of Highlands Gates of the 14th. Because they just don't have.
Take your drone to the classic.
Very poor. So, who's got the most descriptive skills to paint this beautiful picture of why we're choosing the 14th at Highlands Gate today? Go for it, Fats.
Yes.
Right. Like all you guys know, Highland Gate is my favorite course I've ever played. Just coming back to the list, I think there might be 2 or 3 holes on that course, which I would not consider for our list, but any other hole chosen I would have been happy with. The 14th I think is a very, very special par 5. From the club tees, you can't, or the longer hitters can't really take a driver, so that's what makes that very interesting as well. So you're going to have at least 240, 250 in for your second shot, and if you too close to the right of the fairway, you're going to have to cut it around that mountain, which makes it almost impossible. So if you do play it as a three shot par 5, it's not that difficult. Get it down the fairway off the tee box, 200, 220 meters, lay up with a 6 iron, 7 iron even, and you're going to have 120 into the green. And from that angle, if you go left on your layup, it's actually quite a big green to hit as well. It is surrounded by bunkers and got the little ravine at the back of the green.
That ravine is a magnet.
I think the most interesting part of that hole is the little narrow part in the fairway, which does stop you from using driver off the club tees. To me, it plays easier off the back because you can go full out with your driver, get nice and close, and have a chance for hitting the green with your second.
Yeah, and the whole hole is set in between a valley, which is beautiful. It just follows a valley like this. Anyone else want to add to that?
I think I just go right. You go right.
Okay. I think I agree with that. I prefer that hole for what it's built for off the back tee, off the long tee. I just think, like he says, if you're off the men's tee for your longer driver, you're not really going to be taking driver because your landing zone becomes that narrow spot where, if you miss it by 2 or 3 meters, your ball's gone.
Yep.
You're not going to find it in that sort of felt. You're going to be really lucky if you find it up the left, and I'm pretty sure you won't find it on the right. So playing it, from the back tee, your landing zone is before that, but everything kind of holds the fairway. If anything, it just drifts a little bit to the right, but then you do have a second shot to the green. And then, for the sort of shorter hitters or your more sort of average conservative golfer, even off the back tee, it just turns it into a 3-shot par 5, which is obviously what you want, actually, especially with it being the stroke 1. You don't want it to be, driver 3 iron or driver 3 wood onto the green. And it's a really tricky green to get to as well because of how it goes around the corner. It's got that bunker protecting it on the front that has it around it the whole way around, kind of turning it into like an island green in the valley, if that makes sense. Which I think it's quite an exciting hole because even going straight at the green, you can't go long because there's nowhere to miss behind the green on the left.
Ruben says 4 iron, 6 iron, 9 iron. Is he joking? In what planet can you hit a 4 iron, 6 iron, 9 iron for birdie putt on that hole? Am I wrong?
Yeah,
that's the 3-shot.
Not impossible.
Yo.
I can't hit that far. Sorry.
I'll just get past the corner with a 4 and a 6 iron.
I just want to kind of put those together a bit, Maz, because I think, the uniqueness of the hole is crazy. As Ryan says, if you're trying to have a go at the green there and you look up the right, you're going to cut around the mountain and stuff like that. Remember that if you miss that shot, you're dropping a ball at your toes because that's lateral hazard the whole way. So it's not like you hit it over the back of the green and then you drop up there somewhere by the green. So that's pretty cool. And then also there's a sort of little canal. So Fats mentioned laying up to 120, which is definitely an option. But you can actually take a much longer club and hit it over that little sort of cross canal thing, way more in line with the green. And then hit up the shape of the green because the green is very shallow from the side of the fairway, but actually fairly wide. So if you lay it up quite far with a long club and up the left-hand side, then you just kind of pitch 50 or 40 meters straight up the middle of the green and then becomes a much easier pitch. So there your risk reward can actually be with your layup. So you take on a little more risk with your layup to be rewarded with a much easier pitch shot for your third shot. So it's just brilliant that you can have 2 or 3 options at every stage of the hole that you play. And I think the uniqueness of it is obvious, but the brilliance of the design is evident there when you sort of get into it.
Quibus?
Totally agree there. With your second shot, like Dylan said, risk-reward second shot. If you go for the reward, it's a very scary second shot. You can't miss long. And if you hit it a little bit fat, you're in the canal. So, it's a great hole.
Dorian put a comment here. Quibus was almost killed in that hole. I remember this because I was playing in the 4-ball, but I cannot remember who hit it because he had the best 3-wood of his entire life ever.
Andre Ehlers.
Is that? Yes, that's right.
Yeah. He hit that second shot was...
He had like 235 left and he hit the 3-wood and it almost took your head off in the middle of the green. Whoosh, went straight over.
You couldn't see him from where he was hitting. So he was obviously fading it around the corner there. And we were still busy putting, and the next minute that ball I just heard the noise. And if it wasn't for that, I might have been in hospital. So it was close.
You heard the noise and changed the undies.
I remember that. Okay, so let's just recap with Highlands Gate. Yes, it's the favorite. 12, 13, 14, 15 people went for that. So we can't really argue with the public. But we're going to quickly go through the other 4 options so we can paint a picture of what those were. I have a flyover of Ibotsi for you. So here's this flyover.
Oh, scary.
It is a scary tee shot, but once you get to the fairway, it's actually quite wide.
Yeah, it's such a scary tee shot, but if you know the course, then you know it's actually one of the widest tee shots on the golf course.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But when that makes it impossible to putt. You can't miss above the hole. Then you got no chance.
In the last major, all 3 of us was on the right-hand side. There by the road.
Yep.
Visiting your flatmate.
I wouldn't be saying that on live videos.
It doesn't make a difference. It's my golf.
But another beautiful hole. But like you say,
greens if you're at the back of that green.
Yeah, you can't be at the back. If you're at the back, you're dead.
No.
Where the last time we played there in the Thursday League, I was over the back, chipping down from those bushes. And remember the pin was right at the back. Impossible. All right, then we have Fire Thorns at par 5. This is Fire Thorns par 5. This was the old par 4, then a par 3. So this is part of the new design.
No, I really loved what they did to this hole, making it a par 5. Also, it's not the most difficult par 5, but what does make it difficult is your second shot. You got 0 chance of rolling it onto the green, basically, because you got a big bunker in front of the green. If you hit it to the right of the bunker, it does slope a little left. But compared to the old par 4, the par 5 is just brilliant.
Yeah, and a lot of people can reach in 2 if they had a good drive there. I've seen a few.
Yeah, you can cut the corner a little there as well.
You can't quite see it there as well. That green is a bit more raised than what it looks like. So if you're hitting a sort of 6-iron or maybe even 4 or 5-iron in there, you're standing over that shot thinking, even if I land this on the green, it's probably not gonna stop there. But it's a nice par 4.5 really. It's you're gonna get a lot of birdies and a few eagles there and stuff like that. And it fits very nicely into Firethorn.
Very well.
The scary part is I was doing marshalling at the SA Open, and you see the pros playing that hole. And we've got one long hitter watching this tonight as well. They play it as a normal par 4 again because they just hit it that long.
Driver 6 iron.
and that is exactly, that hole is brilliant for the pros specifically because they can make up a stroke there specifically. So for us shorter hitters, I mean, we have to go in 3, but I mean, guys hitting a 5 wood and a 6 iron or whatever the case might be, like Basil, it's just, they attack that hole, and it's really, because it's so narrow in the beginning, it is a very pretty hole.
And that's what makes it so good.
Yeah. Donnie says anybody can spin a ball on a green. Yes, Donnie.
Okay, Donnie.
Yes, Donnie. You can. Right, Coach, we have Jackal Creek has got their 14th. This is the stroke 1, yes?
It is the stroke 1,
okay.
Yeah. We restroked. Yeah, we restroked last year, and it was became stroke 1. It's definitely stroke 1 off the back. I see on your caption there it said 372 or something like that. That's the distance from the club tee. The tee shot is severely uphill. It doesn't play 372. I can promise you that. Mm-hmm. And off the back tee, I think the yardage off the back tee, I can't see that small.
404, it's got, yeah.
4 what? 404.
404, yeah.
Yeah. And it plays more like 450, 460 off the back tee because you can't get it up to, or you just kind of creep it up to the top of the hill. And then off the back tee, the longer hitters cannot carry the trees that are on the corner of a very, very slight dogleg to the right. And then the ground sort of slopes away towards some trees on the left. So off the club tee, you can kind of hit a little bit over the corner, or you can fit a fade in there. But off the back tee, you got to land it on a dinner plate. And it's a scary tee shot because it's not the kind of thing where you're thinking out of bounds or water, but you know that if you don't pull off that tee shot, it's going to cost you at least a shot, if not 2 shots, because of how severe those trees are on both sides.
Yeah.
And then from there, kind of a weirdly exposed green. There's no bunkering around the green, but it slopes dramatically from back to front. So you can have a 3-foot putt with about a foot or so of break. So try work that one out. Just try and visualize that one.
But yes, a good hole.
I think what makes it interesting as well for me, from the tee box, it looks like the dogleg goes a lot more than you think. It goes less than you actually think. So I think the interesting thing there is some guys go over the tree thinking it's quite a big dogleg. They get there and they're still under the trees there. I think that's also a great aspect to that hole.
Yeah, definitely. Very subtle dogleg,
Yeah.
This was actually
it's a really good, strong par 4. It's possibly the strongest par 4 at Jack. Well, stroke 1, I guess it is definitely the strongest par 4.
It has to be.
But it's one of definitely the stronger holes at Jackal for sure. Yeah.
Then finally, we just got Eagle Canyon left. Quibbles, did you reach this hole, or did you pick up already before the 14th?
No, he picked up.
I picked up after 7th on that specific round with Fats and his match play game. Yeah, that was the day right after we played the Open, and when the Open's last 2 holes were chowing me, and the next day was just carrying on where I left, I just stopped.
Enough's enough.
Yeah.
Nevertheless,
I lost 7 balls in 7 holes, so it was enough.
Nevertheless, a good hole. Bash it straight and bash it hard.
Yeah.
And I think I've seen people reaching 2. Not so easy to reach in 2, but it is possible. So Eagle is on the cards at Eagle Canyon. But Eagle Canyon is not going to be the choice. So everybody, it's unanimous. The public has spoken. It's going to be Highlands Gate 14th, so that's going to make an interesting last 4 holes. Is everybody happy with that?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is the best hole there probably, but to me still the 16th, of course. But the 14th is an amazing hole. It's one of a kind. I think if you ask anybody in South Africa that's played all the top courses, that hole will definitely be in their favorite course as well.
So is that our 17th stroke? No, we haven't done 17 holes. 17 stroke ones.
Yes.
Sure, close.
Looking forward to stroking our course.
Yeah, it's going to be especially when you have to go, okay, these are odds, these are evens. And then, okay, what's number 1? Should be interesting. Okay, everybody, thank you for joining us. Like we mentioned, this is the last of the 1-hole show because it's going to go very quickly from now. So Wednesday we're back and we're doing 15 and 16, Friday 17 and 18. Wednesday we'll look forward to the PGA Tour events. We're going to choose our players who we're going to follow and back because I'm sure everybody's going to want to watch the Charles Schwab Challenge. Everybody, Are we happy? Quibus, Thank you very much for joining us. It was a pleasure. Here's your applause.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Squibby.
Thanks, guys. It was nice.
Everybody, thanks for joining us. Taking the time to
Wednesday.
watch us on this Monday evening. Have a lovely, lovely evening further. All right. See you on Wednesday.
Yes.
Cheers, cheers.